Hey, what's up, everybody? Jasper Gonzo here. Another What's Next. All right. I showed up a little late to this party, so I want to get my 2 cents involved. Rings of Power. Amazon's attempt at the great J.R. Tolkien's legacy of Lord of the Rings. I think in the beginning it was a good idea. Hell, you know what? Give it to Amazon. You know what? They can't ruin it. Can they? Well, yeah, they can. You have some who like it, who are looking forward to it. You know, those wokesters out there. And then you have those who feel that Tolkien's legacy is getting spat upon because of identity politics. Well, you know, if you're one of those people, then you're just a racist and a bigot, right? This comes out of Bounding into Comics. Amazon Prime Video uses Vanity Fair to attack critics of The Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power, as trolls. That's right, because those of us who don't know the history, mythology, and the legacy of J.R. Tolkien do not know what the we're talking about. Amazon Prime Video appears to be using Vanity Fair to attack the Lord of the Rings fans, who criticized the show for not staying faithful to Tolkien's original work. As expected, in this modern era of woke Hollywood, Prime Video's The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power executive producer Lindsay Weber explained in a puff piece for Vanity Fair that the show altered the race-swapped multiple characters in order to reflect what the world actually looks like. It's fantasy. It's not based on reality, moron. In the article by Vanity Fair, the outlet reveals the show will include Lenny Henry playing a Harfoot, Sophia Norvet playing a dwarf princess named Disa, and Ismael Cruz Cordova playing an elf. Weber explained that these casting changes, stating, quote, "It felt only natural for us, and an adaptation of Tolkien's work will reflect what the world actually looks like." She argued, Tolkien is for everyone. His stories are about his fictional races doing their best work when they leave the isolation of their own cultures and come together. One would think that when adapting a piece of fiction that has a storied history, one might think it would actually be natural to reflect what Tolkien actually wrote rather than what the world actually looks like. Yes, again, canon gets trashed. It begs the question as why Amazon would even want to adapt to Tolkien if they did not want to actually reflect what he wrote. Interestingly, the puff piece by Vanity Fair then paints people who wanted Prime Video to stay true to his works as trolls. Vanity Fair's Anthony Brenzingen and Joanna Robinson write, when Amazon released photos of the multicultural cast, even without character names or plot details, the studio endured a reflective attack from trolls, the anonymous online kind. They go on to try to deride the fans by citing a so-called Tolkien scholar named Marina Rios Maldonado. Maldonado is not a Tolkien scholar, but is rather a PhD student at the University of Glasgow who is interested in ethics, feminist theory, and encountering the other in Tolkien's works. That sounds like social justice warrior if there ever was one. Yes, you know, make sure you got that feminazi degree. It goes a long way. Not really. If that didn't convince you, Maldonado also happens to be the, quote, Equality and Diversity Officer for the University of Glasgow's Center for Fantasy and the Fantastic. Yeah. Nevertheless, Vanity Fair and one suspects Amazon by association propped up this feminazi as a Tolkien scholar to attack their fans. Maldonado tells Vanity Fair, obviously there was going to be push and backlash, but the question is, well, from whom? Who are these people that feel so threatened and disgusted by the idea that an elf is black, Latino, or Asian? What? No trans with rickets? Well, the actual fans of Tolkien's work who want the adaptation to stay true to it, what a tough question. And wanting to stay true to the work does not mean you threaten or disgusted to imply that such shows of what kind of Tolkien scholar this person is. Their first thought is to attack people. Sounds like a Tolkien villain named Grima Wormtongue. Not only does Vanity Fair by association and Amazon Studios attack the Lord of the Rings fans, but they also reveal that the casting changes were the cause for fans to be concerned that if you can't get it that right, you won't get the rest right either. And that appears to be the case, for Vanity Fair reports that showrunners Payne and McKay have compressed events into a single point in time. That's right, they completely done away with Tolkien's timeline. The showrunners explained that their decision, quote, if you are true to the exact letter of law, you're going to be telling a story in which your human characters are dying off every season because you're not jumping 200 years in time. Because you're jumping 200 years in time, and then you're not meeting really big, important canon characters until season 4. Yeah, that's why they call them seasons for a reason. Look, there might be some fans who want us to do a documentary of Middle-earth, but we're going to tell one story that unites all these things. We're going to tell our story. Remember that, you bigots. Ironically, Vanity Fair noted how important the timeline and details were to Tolkien earlier in the article when they stated these timelines, genealogies, and notes on language and culture became so important that Tolkien even stalled the publication of the final book, Return of the King, to complete them. They even quote Tolkien's letter to Alan and Irwin, the Swedish publishers of Lord of the Rings, on the importance of their appendices. Vanity Fair also noted Tolkien stating, they play a major part in producing the total effect, quote, end quote, his words. In the same letter, they also quoted Tolkien writing that his appendices produce the compelling sense of historical reality. In fact, Tolkien wrote, my chief interest in being translated is pecuniary, as long as the basic text is treated with respect, so that even the touchiness of parenthood is outraged. I should wish to refrain from doing or saying anything that may damage the good business of being published in other countries. And I have also Messrs. Allen and Irwin to consider. But the matter of the appendices has a pecuniary aspect. He would also add, I do not believe that they give the work a scholarly look. They play a major part in producing the total effect, as Messrs. Gerber's translator has himself pointed out in select detail of documentation as two chief ingredients in producing the compelling sense of historical reality. He also notes, actually, an analysis of many hundreds of letters, that appendices have played a very large part in readers' pleasure, in tuning libraries, readers into purchasers, since the appendices are needed for reference, and in creating the demand for another book. A sharp distinction must be drawn between the taste of reviewers and that of readers. I think I understand the taste of simple-minded folk like myself pretty well. Now, we go from that to this. Also, bounding into comics. Lord of the Rings fan site torches Amazon's new Lord of the Rings of Power series. Following numerous plot details and the reveal of the first photos of the Prime Video's The Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power, in a Vanity Fair puff piece, the Lord of the Rings fan site, theonering.com, eviscerated the show for its utter disregard of Tolkien's writings. OneRing.com expressed their concern for the show, noting that the Vanity Fair article raised multiple red flags for the show in a thread on Twitter. The site began, read Vanity Fair article, and there's a lot of red flags. My first thoughts follow. The first red flag is the inclusion of hobbits in the form of Harfoots in the series. One.com tweeted, but really, does it feel like Middle-earth if you don't have hobbits or something, like hobbits in it? They followed it with the Tolkien quote, a format that would use to criticize the show throughout the thread. Tolkien, but there are, I fear, no hobbits in the Silmarillion. Tolkien wrote to Mrs. E.S. Ulster Driver on January 5th, 1961, telling her, I am now under contract and engaged, among alas, and other congenial tasks, in putting in order the publication for the mythology and stories of the First and Second Ages, written long ago, but judged hardly punishable. So until the surprising success of The Lord of the Rings, which comes at the end, has provided a probable demand for the beginnings. Excuse me. Of course, as we see there, the J.R.R. Tolkien, The Silmarillion, edited by Christopher Tolkien. My thoughts. I've seen Lord of the Rings, the trilogy, in my opinion, the greatest fantasy trilogy, sci-fi trilogy ever. Sorry, Star Wars. I'm not the biggest historian regarding the mythology of J.R.R. Tolkien, but as one anonymous put it, I know what I like, and I like Lord of the Rings. And to me, I was very excited, but at the same time, I was optimistic, but I was realistic at the same time of what Amazon can do with the legacy that is J.R.R. Tolkien. But for those at Amazon, for the writers, for the showrunners, the directors, to slam the fans because the fans actually know their shit, because they know their history. OneRing.com knows their history when it comes to Lord of the Rings. They know it. It's what they do. These guys eat it, breathe it, sleep it. But of course, they are considered bigots and racists because, you're not woke enough. How do you not be so progressive? That is what J.R.R. Tolkien would have wanted, right? Even Peter Jackson, who directed the legendary trilogy, even said himself that when he came upon this, he did not want his politics being involved in this. He didn't want his politics to be a footprint on Tolkien's legacy. He did it according to the books. And the reason why it was broken into 3 parts, the reason why the movie is almost 10 hours plus long, if you consider them one movie, because they wanted to do it according to the book. They wanted to honor the legacy that was J.R.R. Tolkien. Amazon and these knuckleheads, these woke mob retards, are spitting upon Tolkien's legacy. But at the same time, the Tolkien estate cannot get a pass. You can't. You can't get a pass. They signed off on it. They signed off to Amazon to say, okay, well, we're going to allow you to do, do this next venture and what have you. But they should have made it very, very clear to Amazon. You're going to do it according to Tolkien's works, period, end of story. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about the discussion. And if not, oh well, guarantee we'll find somebody else who will do it. And you would have had lines out the fucking door doing it or wanting to do it. Good. And with that being said, I'm Jasper Gonzo. This is What's Next. Want to see more just like this? Please leave a comment below. Like it, share it, subscribe to it. And we'll catch you guys next time. Peace.